This is Set Him Free, Chapter 15. It was later that night that Virgil came back into Roman's room. He crossed the space in silence, coming to sit crisscross in front of the prince. Roman cocked an eyebrow, silently seeking an explanation, but he was given no response. "Strange of you to visit me twice within the day," Roman said, shifting to sit against the wall. "Remus is gathering new herbs." "I hardly find that to be a good enough reason to intrude my lovely little space here." Virgil scoffed. "Oh, please, you hate both this space and my presence." "Believe it or not, you're not terribly intolerable, William Shakespeare." Roman smirked. "But that still doesn't explain why you're here in the first place." "If you must know, Remus collects herbs in order to create concoctions, or potions, as he likes to call them." Roman held back a laugh. "Hey, it's not funny," Virgil protested. "Especially when you're his main test subject. I swear, that trash rat has made me break into hives at least 5 times in the last month." That's when Roman finally lost it. He had to hold a hand to his face just to stifle his laughter. "And this is the one instance in which I will admit I don't envy your current situation." "You would feel my pain if you woke up to all your skin being dyed blue." "He did that?" "That's the best thing that came from his experiments." The beginnings of a smile tugged at the corners of Virgil's mouth. "Hence my choosing to come here." "Seems like you're in quite the pickle then." Virgil's brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "What's to stop me from yelling to let Remus know where you're hiding out?" The thief's eyes narrowed. "You wouldn't." Roman smirked, leaning forward slightly. "I very much would." They locked eyes for a moment, Roman offering a challenging glance and Virgil returning it with an equally stern gaze. The room went completely silent. The only thing that could be heard was rain patting softly against the windowsill. Virgil leaned closer, their faces now inches apart. "What do I have to do to keep you from alerting Remus?" "Desperate for a safe haven, I see," Roman whispered, his eyes alight with mischief. "I'll stay quiet if you set me free." Whatever spark they had gained extinguished then. Virgil's eyes suddenly drifted to the floor. "I can't do that, Roman." "Fine then. Remus!" he shouted, yelping as a calloused hand clasped over his mouth. "Are you crazy?" Virgil hissed, his hand still covering Roman's mouth. "You can't just snitch on me like that." Roman jerked away from Virgil's grasp, his expression hardening. "I can, if you don't uphold your end of the deal." Virgil groaned, running a hand through his bangs. What had so easily been an innocent banter, one Virgil begrudgingly admitted he had come to miss, shifted quickly into the very thing he had hoped not to return to. "Roman, I know," the prince sighed. "You don't have to say it." "Then why ask? You know I can't let you go, even if I wanted to." Roman glanced up. It was worth the shot. "If you really want someone to save you, I would put trust in your kingdom. They are your family, after all." "They won't find me, especially not with the letter Janice sent them." "You're wrong," Virgil admitted before he could stop himself. Roman looked to him in confusion, and the thief clamped his mouth shut before he could spill anything else. Roman could not know about the letter he had sent to Patton. He couldn't know he had directly betrayed Janice for his sake. Excuses swirled through his head as the prince eyed him skeptically, and he quickly settled on the first thing that stuck in his mind. "That advisor of yours, he's supposed to be smart. Maybe he'll figure things out." "Strange for you to be so reassuring. Do I sense a change of heart?" "What? No!" Virgil sputtered. I'm not a traitor. Liar, his mind hissed. Then if so, what now? Are we going to keep sitting in awkward silence, or are you going to continue to ruin my life? It's not like that. Oh, really? The prince began to laugh, the chain rustling slightly with his movement. Because it kind of seems like everything has gone downhill ever since I decided to follow you into a dark alleyway. I want to say I'm sorry, but life wasn't a bucket of roses when the roles were reversed either. Well, of course. Roman moved to sit taller against the wall, a small grin showing upon his face. You always have been a bit of a handful, haven't you? You're one to talk. Do you know how many times I've had to restitch my cloak from your lawful pursuits? You act like you aren't breaking the law on a daily basis. Actions do have consequences, you know. Yeah, I know. Virgil trailed off. It seemed he was the only one receiving consequences these days. What with Janice's distant behavior and the prince's bitter resentment towards him? Not to mention, the kingdom would surely have his head if they ever caught him. Roman suddenly chuckled, bringing the thief back to reality. I must be going crazy to actually be enjoying a conversation with you after everything you've done. Maybe you just miss what it was like before. You mean constantly losing beauty sleep just to wake up and chase you in your witty banter? Virgil raised a brow, his mouth twisting into a knowing smirk. All right, maybe just a little, but to be fair, I've almost caught you several times. Not true, Princey. I'm like 5 times faster than you. Are not? I find it offensive for you to say such things. Roman gasped dramatically, and Virgil laughed. Virgil, the thief, Photo Royals, was laughing at something the prince had said. What was wrong with him? Here he was, in the face of the enemy, and they were joking, as if they were old friends. Hey, Roman. What's it like in the castle when it's not plunged into complete chaos? Changing the subject, I see. Roman's gaze faltered, and a wistful smile shone upon his face. I would say it's an adventure, but at the same time, it offers a comfort that I can't get anywhere else. That sounds nice. Virgil tugged at the ends of his cloak. It is. Just as you have your family, I have mine. We support each other, even in the darkest of moments, all showing just how close we are. That hit deep. Images of the royal crest passed through Virgil's mind, emphasized by the pain that followed it. Janice had been going through so much in the past few days, and here he was, directly disobeying his wishes. Some family he was. And then there's Patton and Logan, Roman continued. Patton's always so sweet, protecting everyone so much that sometimes he forgets to look after himself. And Logan, well, he's a bit distant on the surface, but inside I know he cares. You really seem to have some good friends. They're everything to me. That's why I need to get back. They've got to be falling apart at this point. Virgil looked away. He didn't want to think of the suffering faced by those who cared for the prince. And the queen? She's got to be a mess, Roman admitted. He felt the chain links, giving them a light tug. My mother is quite protective, especially after the death of the king. I could only imagine that she's either in tears or ready to kill a man. Virgil tried his best not to show his fear at that statement. I'm sorry, he muttered, shifting to reach for Roman's bandages. Can I check these? I don't see why not. The thief nodded, thankful for the excuse to avoid more talk of the queen. He slowly unraveled the white gauze around the prince's ankle, careful not to cause any additional harm. The swelling had gone down greatly. Immobilization seemed to have done wonders for the sprain, as it had almost completely healed. "Does it still ache?" Virgil asked, removing the splint and setting it to the side. "Not anymore, thanks to you." Virgil glanced up, his head gaining a slight tilt. "I don't need your thanks. All I'm saying is that you didn't have to help me. I doubt the others would have come to my aid no matter the circumstances. It just shows that there is good in you." "Not this again," Virgil groaned, folding the bandages. "You know which side I lie on." "I am aware, but I also know that things can change. Just think about it, Virgil." "Whatever, Roman." The thief rolled his eyes, moving to stand. "Fine. You don't have to believe me, but if I must say one thing before you go." Roman leaned forward, almost appearing content. "It was nice getting to speak to you, like before. I missed the banter more than I ever thought I would." Virgil froze then, and they locked eyes. So many things raced through his mind at that moment. He wanted to apologize. He wanted to tell him of the letter. He wanted to tell Roman of what the king had done, and he wanted to promise that he would find some way to fix everything. Instead, he simply nodded, his hand closing around the door handle. As he stepped into the hallway, he turned back, coming to meet the prince's eyes for a final moment. "I missed it too, Princey." Then, Virgil pulled the door shut, and with it, the comfort of everything that used to be. This has been Chapter 15 of Set Him Free. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time for Chapter 16.